he was assigned to FTO Michael Bieber. He commenced solo patrol and graduated from the field training officer program on October the 25th, just last fall. Since then, he has done some amazing work. I'll highlight just a few of the things that PJ has accomplished in his very short career here. The first incident happened on November of 2008, or November 8, 2012, where our patrol division had gotten involved in a pursuit of a vehicle. The guy was armed with a gun, and he fled from officers. We indicated, or the officers felt fairly certain when they finally got the car stopped, they did not locate the firearm, and they felt that he had thrown it out of the window of the car sometime throughout the pursuit. The firearm was never located. The next day, PJ Bennett and other officers on his shift went down and did basically just a walk-through search of this entire neighborhood until they located the gun. The suspect in that case, Tremel Freeman, he had a long history of drug-related offenses, some violent offenses, weapon offenses, and he's facing recovery of that gun led to some very serious charges, which will keep him incarcerated off the streets of Alton. So that was the first incident. The next incident occurred on November 12th. PJ Bennett responded to a robbery call at McDonald's, 717 East Broadway. The suspect was a white male, later identified as Travis Clark, and he was observed by Bennett exiting the business. Police officer Bennett ordered Clark to the ground, took him into custody without further incident. The manager of the business was contacted, positively identified Clark as the offender. Officer Bennett interviewed the employees at the business and collected evidence for the case. Officer Bennett's quick response and action removed a dangerous felon from the streets of Alton. This is a job well done by an officer who has only been on solo patrol for a very short period of time. So that was the second incident. I'm sorry, and then on November 16th, very short time later, officers responded to a burglary in progress at 902 East 6th Street. A witness reported the black male suspect was walking in the alley carrying a television, which was suspected as being stolen from 902 East 6th Street. The witness observed the suspect drop the television on the ground and then enter a purple two-door vehicle which fled the area. While checking the area, Officer Bennett observed a suspicious vehicle on Silver Street with the driver making erratic driving maneuvers. You quickly stopped the vehicle as it pulled on the side of the street, and the driver exited in a hurried manner. You stopped this driver, identified as Shantez Zander, and detained him at the scene. A show-up identification was conducted by the witness, who identified Zander as the person seen carrying the television on East 6th Street. Additional items of evidence were located inside the suspect vehicle. Excuse me. It was also learned that Zander had numerous past theft-related offenses and was currently on parole. You're to be recognized for the successful investigation and arrest of Shantez Zander. Your thorough investigation, alert actions reflect positively on yourself and make the whole police department look good in the eyes of the public. This type of police work should serve as an example for every officer of this department. That was a letter that PJ received. The next month, on December 28th, and he's only been on solo patrol since October, keep that in mind. On December 28, 2012, this is a letter of commendation. Approximately 21:25 hours, officers responded to a burglary in progress at 3243 Oakwood. The homeowner returned to her home and she discovered an unknown white male in her roommate's bedroom searching through furniture. According to the homeowner, the offender was also holding a small laptop computer and threatened to hit the homeowner with it. The homeowner stated the offender dropped the laptop and fled on foot from the residence. The homeowner contacted headquarters and she provided a detailed description of the offender. Officers arrived on scene and established a perimeter so the K-9 unit could conduct a track. During the track, Police Officer Bennett eventually positioned his squad car near the Cellar Room Tavern. On doing so, Officer Bennett observed a white male enter the tavern with several other people. Officer Bennett noticed that the white male, Nicholas Gegg, closely fit the description of the offender in this incident. Officer Bennett detained Gegg at the location and informed other units via radio. The homeowner was transported to Officer Bennett's location so that a show-up could be conducted. During the show-up, the homeowner positively identified Gegg as the offender in this incident. Gegg was taken into custody for the offense of residential burglary. Gegg was subsequently interviewed concerning this incident, and he confessed to being the offender that committed this offense. He was formally charged with the offense of residential burglary, and his bond was set at $75,000. Officer Bennett, you're to be commended for your attention to detail, and quick actions in the arrest of Nicholas Gegg. Since 2001, Gegg has confessed to, and been convicted of theft, burglary, residential burglary on numerous occasions. Your handling of this arrest undoubtedly not only solved an in-progress felony crime, but prevented a string of burglaries from being committed by Gegg. Your actions reflect positively on you and make the entire police department look good in the eyes of the public. Then lastly, the very next month, on January the 30th, you can see why he got this award. On January 30th, you were dispatched to a delayed report of a misdemeanor retail theft at RP Lumber. The manager reported 3 suspicious white males entering the business and wandering throughout the store, walking in separate directions while gathering assorted pieces of copper merchandise. The manager added that they were acting strange and nervous, with all of them eventually leaving the store. One of the males was observed leaving the store with a bulge in his jacket. The bulge was later identified as a roll of copper valued at $85. The suspects fled the scene on foot after he discovered that his 2 associates already left the car or left the area in a vehicle. The manager was able to provide you with a detailed description of the 3 suspects and a suspect vehicle that included the Illinois license plate. Conducted an inquiry into the registered owner of the vehicle, determining it to be Rhonda Curtis. He then took an extra investigative step, checking in-house computer database systems of the police department and located an associate of the suspect, Josie Gaunt. Then you conducted further database inquiry into the possible associates of Josie that could potentially match the description of the aforementioned 3 white males. This additional inquiry provided you with the name Timothy Gaunt, who was later verified as Josie's husband. You located a booking photograph, however it was dated 2005. Not to be deterred, you contacted the East Alton Police Department and they provided you with a recent photograph of Gaunt. You drove to their police department, generated a lineup, which you later showed to the store manager. After viewing it, he positively identified Gaunt as the suspect who was leaving the store with the bulge in his jacket. Gaunt's last known address was Cottage Hills, which is the venue of the Madison County Sheriff's Department. You contacted the Sheriff's Department, advised them of this incident. You had a deputy respond to Gaunt's address in an attempt to contact him. They were initially unable to contact Gaunt, but did contact his wife Josie and his brother-in-law, Dalton Seitz. Seitz had several active warrants for his arrest and was taken into custody. While speaking with Josie, you advised her that Timothy and Seitz had borrowed the suspect vehicle from her today and traveled to Alton to scrap metal all day. Josie also identified a 3rd male suspect as being Caleb. While you were speaking with Josie, Timothy arrived on scene to, quote, turn himself in. You and the deputies later identified Caleb as Caleb Springer. Springer was contacted and admitted to being several businesses in Alton that day with Timothy and Seitz. He admitted to driving the suspect vehicle, claimed he did not know about the copper thefts. The suspects were later interviewed by detectives and admitted to numerous copper thefts in the Alton area. You also responded to Alton Materials to determine if any copper wire had been sold there that day. You were able to uncover evidence that assisted with a separate copper theft at Farm and Home the same day. Your attention to detail and professionalism in conducting a basic retail theft investigation resulted in the arrest of 3 offenses of burglary. Your decision to take the extra step in pursuing a self-generated lead resulted in the identification and arrest of a ring of copper thieves that have plagued this city for quite some time. Your actions are a credit to your work ethic and reflect positively on the entire police department. He's been here a short period of time, but he's impressed every officer on our department. And I've gotten to know him over the last few months, well, since he graduated from the academy. his dad and some of his family members. And he has the work ethic, and he's the type of officer he is, not by accident. I believe a lot of it has to do, he really didn't have a choice in the matter. If you got to know his family and his dad and his brothers, he had no option but to be successful in whatever career and path that he chose. And we have high hopes for him. He's going to be a fantastic officer, and we are lucky to have him for the Alton Police Department. So congratulations, PJ, Rookie of the Year.
Hoorah!
And you have a gift certificate here from Mr. Brant Walker and some golf balls that he's donated for this award. So you can thank him for that. Thank you, Mr. Walker. We appreciate your support. And great job.